You're listening to episode 201 of the Super League Pod, where we react to the worst kept secrets and even worst kept promises in a bumper news show. There were some games too, but not many that mattered. But still, we have your views on your sport in your favourite rugby league podcasts. Strap yourselves in, kids. It's Super League Pod time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 201 of the Super League Pod. I'm your regular host and Wigan fan, Mark. I'm joined this week by fairly regular co-host and Hull FC fan, Sarah. How are you doing, Sarah?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think the best way to describe my weekend was rugby, Ryder Cup, rugby, Ryder Cup, rugby, NFL.
Sounds like a good weekend.
Pretty much. A good weekend for me. Emma, not such a big fan, although she is a big fan of Tommy Fleetwood, the golfer, so she was happy to see him doing well for most of the weekend in the Ryder Cup. How about you? What have you been up to?
We obviously went over to Wigan on Friday, and then Saturday we just had quite a chilled out family day. And then yesterday was the Mighton presentation of awards for the end of the season, so that was quite nice to see all the kids together. Just hanging out together. It's nice.
Did Joshua scoop anything this year?
No, he just got team, being a member of the team.
Yeah.
I think if there was an award for voice of the team,
I was going to say.
I think that was pretty much how Andy described him, really. But no, it was really nice, and they did Players Player of the Year for the first time.
All right, cool.
But I think they were a bit wary as to whether the kids had just for their friend or whoever just passed them the ball last. But I think Lewis picked that up, who's a new signing to the club but has settled in really well and is a really good player. So that was good.
Oh, that's exciting. So that's it now, done for the Mighton team, is it? They had a game this weekend, didn't they, as well, though, where they did well? Yeah,
they had a friendly over at Immingham, which they won 54-16, they tell me, and that was actually against an under-11s team, whereas they're under-10s now, so that was good. They've got another friendly in a week or so, because there's massive rule changes for next year, but apart from that, it's just going to be training after that, I think.
So for the friendlies, have they been playing the new rules, conversions and stuff like that?
Yeah, the first friendly, they didn't get as far as needing to have any conversions.
That's a diplomatic way of saying they were awful.
they were pretty shocking. I think as well, because up until now they've been allowed to make... So last year it was one error and then handover, whereas this time it was as soon as there was an error, it was a straight handover, and they just didn't manage very well with that one. But the second match, my dad took Joshua to, and I think they did get beat, but it was only by 2 tries, I think, that they lost. And Joshua was very pleased with his 2 try assists in there, so...
And of course, the mercurial halfback that he will be becoming now as he steps up to under 10s. They played with
4-man scrums as well.
Oh, excellent! So it's starting to look a bit more like the real game that they'll be playing. And it's interesting that you talk about new rules, because that's going to be one of the big talking points that we're going to get to in the feedback and shout out section.
Yeah.
In a minute, Sarah. News is going to take up a big proportion of the show. We're going to rattle through the game reviews, but with no coverage of the Super League action. Probably not going to spend too much time on those 4 games, but the qualifiers, there was a lot of tension down there, so we will talk on those in a bit more detail, and as well the NRL Grand Final, which I want to thank Paul Craig, who took over the Instagram a little bit after the Grand Final, after the NRL Grand Final, and threw up some videos he took during the game, which are awesome. So go to @SuperLeaguePod on the Instagram feed, and you'll see some of Paul's work that is thrown on there. That it was cool to get a sense of the atmosphere that you do a bit get through your TV screen, but it's just special to have a member of the SLP family delivering on the Instagram, as so often happens. So thanks to Paul for that, and thanks as well to the continued episode 200 well wishes. They've been coming in all week, Sarah. I know you'll have seen a few as well because you were involved in the special episode.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was one that I even listened to back again. So.
Well, I actually listened to bits of it because I wasn't sure how well I'd managed to edit together a few little bits, and then Emma wanted to listen to the bit where I said nice things about her. But yeah, it's been really overwhelming as it always is, thanks to the people with emails about the things we spoke about, people getting in touch with tweets and Facebook messages and stuff people I'd not heard from for a while as well, which is wonderful to hear from those kind of people. So just want to thank everyone for the support over the 200 episodes. And now it's the time to sort of almost not relaunch, but it's time to start again. So this is when we need to throw our arms out as the SLP family and welcome more people into our warm embrace. So please do tell all your friends about the show, tell all your friends about what we do and how it's a great place for fans to meet other fans and get a little bit more respect for other fan bases. Sarah, would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. No, I mean, I was just thinking again today, it's just like the SLP family genuinely is a family. It's a great group of mainly guys, but, it is a great group of people. And I love being a part of it. So I would really encourage anyone to get stuck in with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, we've made new friends, haven't we, through the show over the 200 episodes.
Yeah.
And hopefully more of that will happen over the next 200. Right, one of the things I did during the last week, I threw up a new blog post because I was off Monday, Tuesday around episode 200, so I had a little bit of time. And it's a very quick one that I put together, Sarah, but I called it Some Ideas for Rugby League. You can read it at superleaguepod.com, which is where you can find all our blog posts. And I came up with basically 3 ideas. The first one is that I'm going to mention is making loop fixtures events, which is kind of, it's pretty obvious, but if we're all going to have to go through watching our team play a team for a third time, then those home games, those 3 extra home games that they bring, lets the clubs think a little bit about what we're going to do about those, make them a charity round or a armed forces round or heritage rounds or whatever they might be. Do something to give the fans something else to come to the game to as well as the action, so then any people who do feel fatigue at seeing the same team more than once can get something out of it a little bit different that way. So that's one of them. Some ticketing strategies for Thursday night games, because we know they're here to stay, at least in the short term. So I came up with a couple of ideas for that. If you're listening and you work at any of the clubs, feel free to jump on my ideas and take them away. I think
credit. Centrally that the league should do about Thursday ticketing, Thursday matches, I think keep them regional. So Yorkshire clubs play Yorkshire clubs, Lancashire clubs play Lancashire clubs.
Well, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? And thankfully for you as a Hull fan, Widnes have gone down. So the now traditional Thursday night in March trip to Widnes for Hull FC fans won't take place, and there'll be no dressing room lockout.
I don't know how many years we've played them there on a Thursday night, and certainly they've come to us on a Thursday night a few times as well, and it just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, that's another great idea to throw into the mix with the Thursday stuff. It's probably one that we've all said, haven't we, for the 4 or 5 years that we've had the Thursday night games. And I've come up with a couple of ideas that I've not knocked around before, but I've put up there now. And then the other one that I put on there is kind of around a rule change. So I'm going to mention this one, then we're going to link into a tweet we had from Dom Hodgson at the Hodge during the week. So I think one of the things we need to obviously focus on doing is speeding up the game. People talk about games taking too long to finish. That's one obstacle, especially as most of the games are played at nights nowadays. But also just it kind of the game can get into lulls because of all the time off, and time being wasted will get plenty of coverage in the ideas we had in off Dom's tweet. But what my idea is when people take kicks at goal, especially penalties, it's most frustrating on. But the 60 seconds that they get to kick a goal, okay, I'd say still give goal kickers 60 seconds to take their kicks, but they get 60 seconds and that's it. If they don't kick the ball within the 60 seconds, they forfeit their right to the kick. Obviously, there'll be caveats around that, like if there's a player injured or what have you, or if, after the try's awarded, the team throws the ball away or something like that.
Yeah.
But in general, it's a policeable thing. The referee stood right there. He's already looking at his watch to take time off after 60 seconds. Why not make them kick it within the 60 seconds?
Yeah, especially when they're in front of the perch. There's no need for them to spend forever, is there?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, surely that rule was brought in for things like, balls falling off kicking tees maybe, or bringing the sand mound out.
Yeah. Fair enough. If the ball falls off the kicking tee as he's about to step up, then I've got no problem with the referee saying that's, force of nature and you can't do anything about it and you can start again or whatever.
Yeah, so I think it links into the stop clock idea that we're going to get a lot of people mentioning as we go along. But for me, it's an easy way to save some time wasting, particularly when people are in the sim bin and things like that. And what we want is dramatic close finishes to games. And if a team's taking a full 60 seconds to take the kick at goal, it takes away time out of the game, often in the last 10 minutes or so, which kind of cheats us out of some exciting finish. If your team's doing it, you're happy. But if not, cheats us out of them some exciting finishes potentially. So, with that in mind, we then move on to Dom's tweet, Sarah, and we'll go. We'll alternate through these, and then we'll talk about them as we go. But Dom got in touch at the Hodge on Twitter. He said, "Would love to have the SLP family ideas for rule changes for 2019. ... realistic ones. Winky face." So, do you want to tell us the first person who got in touch with us about this?
Yep, the first person was Bob Phillips, Dr. Bob Phillips, and he said, "Reducing to 8 interchanges is a good plan. The dead ball 7 tackle seems to work well, though I did think it would be unfair with different depths in girls. Would have said 2 refs, but finding 1 seems tough enough. Oh, and enforce the play the ball with your foot. No penalty for throwing the ball at a player actively trying not to obstruct and rolling away from the play of the ball."
So plenty to chew into there. The 8 interchange we think is one that the clubs are actively discussing. So we've seen it in the NRL. That's a good one. 2 refs.
James Clark told us that the interchanges were definitely being reduced for next year.
Yeah, and 2 refs is one that they want to do, but there's other challenges around them that Bob points out. The play of the ball, I mean, that's been enforced in the NRL this year. I think with 2 refs, you can enforce that. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a lot easier to enforce in that situation.
The key one here for me is this rolling away from the play of the ball and penalties being given for it, because it's starting to really wind me up. It's getting epidemic levels. I've seen it at every game I've been at or watched at all sorts of levels over the last, say, 6-8 weeks, and I'm not just being like, one-eyed about it, talking about there was an example on Friday night's game that we were both at, because there was examples both ways, but one example stuck out particularly for me was a penalty that went for Hull against Wigan. Now, I'm not criticising the fact that the call was made, because like I say, we've seen it all the time consistently, but on this particular one, Danny Houghton waited for the ball to roll back into the player who wasn't actually obstructing him from being able to get around in front of him and pick the ball up and pass it, but instead he let the ball get actually kicked by the foot and roll back into the player who was there was space for Danny Houghton to have got in, picked up the ball and played on. And in the NRL Grand Final, I saw loads of times players nipping in to get the ball, to play the ball, to keep the speed of the game up, whereas in our games, and that was just one example, we're looking at it's the other way around. We're actually stopping playing rugby to try and hope it hits a player to then get a penalty. Do you see where I'm at with that?
Yeah, Yeah, no, I do. However, I mean, equally in the same match, it wasn't consistently applied, and again, that's the